So we might move on then to Anna Laucis, who needs no introduction to most here, from the University of Michigan, and she's going to be talking about developing a new virtual professional development education model for radiation oncology and medical physics residents. Thanks so much, Anna.
Thank you very much. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay. If you can't, just please let me know in the chat. I'm trying this on my phone. Thank you so much for the opportunity to present. I'm excited to, I know I've presented a few wellness initiatives at ROECSG in the past, but I'm excited to present this new one I've been working on with our medical physics faculty. So hopefully I'll be able to advance this slide. Not sure if I can yet. So maybe I could just, there we go. So the goal of this initiative was to develop a new, in the era of COVID, a new virtual professional development education model to address topics that aren't typically covered in residency programs, both on the clinical side and the medical physics side, with the ultimate aim of improving trainee wellness. And so our approach was, so we actually applied for and received an internal grant from our wellness office. We now have a chief wellness officer at the University of Michigan, kind of in the entire institution. And through that, I co-authored this grant with Kelly Parody, who's a medical physicist at our institution, Dr. Parody. And so we co-developed this model. We actually did an initial survey with our residents, both on the medical physics and clinical side, and we came up with this initial set of topics: contract negotiation, financial planning, and personal wellness. And we did pre and post assessments for these sessions to determine changes in knowledge, comfort level, ability to address challenges, seek out resources for these topics. And we also used the Validated Wellbeing Index that was initially developed at the Mayo Clinic to also assess individual well-being both before and after each session. So I'll present some of those preliminary results. So this is a work in progress, and we still have one final session remaining before I graduate. And then the hope is that these types of initiatives will continue on. So in terms of the topics we've covered so far, so just a brief note about these. So contract negotiation is, of course, very important for anyone towards the end of their training who ends up receiving an employment contract, and how to negotiate that, or what kind of negotiate for elements of your job. It's something that is incredibly important for actually securing your dream job, but not really covered in any traditional educational modules. And so we actually brought in a contract negotiator, a contract attorney, who had actually spoken at my husband's residency program, and she was kind enough to speak to us. And we were able to offer these speakers an honorarium as well due to the grant. And in addition to the speaker, which was an hour session virtually, we were able to provide each trainee a book on each of these topics. And so that also serves as a resource, for them moving forward. And actually, there was a great one for each of these sessions, kind of very practical tips. For financial planning, we were honored to have Dr. Trevor Royce from UNC speak about this. He's actually published multiple papers on financial wellness and how financial stressors can contribute to burnout. And then for personal wellness, we were honored to have Dr. Sue Evans from Yale, a radiation oncologist, present to us about really thinking about kind of the big picture of challenges that we all face, and maybe ways that sort of we can gain some strategies to deal with challenges in the workplace and at home. So in terms of our results, I'll be covering some of the preliminary results. We've completed these 3 sessions. The final one's coming up in a few weeks. We did pre and post assessments with pretty good response rate overall, especially when I sent a few extra emails. We tended to get a bump in the response rate. And overall, just kind of informally, there is, of course, positive feedback, thankfully, and also stronger community and connection between medical physics and clinical trainees. And that's something I've been very intentional about through my wellness initiatives, but very intentional kind of with this program, especially since I co-developed it with Dr. Parody on the physics side. In terms of quantifiable improvement, so just kind of visually, just wanted to give you guys a sense of these are kind of the real, raw results. So kind of initially people didn't feel all that comfortable, or maybe rather their knowledge was maybe not so good in terms of employment contract negotiation. And the good thing is, the majority of responses that showed an improvement in kind of the knowledge level. our contract attorney provided resources and also the book to hopefully improve that. In terms of comfort level of financial planning, it was kind of across the board. You know, some of our colleagues are a little more knowledgeable about this than others, but then the good thing is, right, we kind of see this shift towards maybe being more comfortable at the end of the session. And these post surveys, the pre was the week prior and the post was a week after. In terms of and again, I'm just giving a sampling of the types of questions, but in understanding the challenges of wellness. So again, maybe there's fairly high confidence before, a little bit lower, but then, you know, ultimately everything's moving in the right direction. The burnout kind of well-being was a little bit more variable, and I think there could be several influences from this. So about half and half. This is for session 3, focused actually on burnout and well-being. Half and half are burnt out. Now, I happen to think this is due to half of us taking our boards a few weeks prior to this, so maybe we're feeling burnt out by that. And then maybe a little improvement, but again, you know, timing of the board exams probably contribute to this more than actually our program. And then just another type of question that we had asked, if it advances for me, there we go. So another specific question from this well-being index was, you know, how have you felt that all of these things are piling up so high you could not overcome them? Thankfully, the minority of folks said that this was the case, but these are just other ways to ask about burnout. And so we encourage everyone to look at the well-being index as a way to, as a validated tool to look at that. Then just as a quick visual for you guys, so the positive thing out of this is that the work I do is meaningful to me pretty much across the board, right? So I'm just going to quickly screen through pretty much across the board, whether pre-post or whatnot. These responses were, you know, 5 or higher, and so that's a good thing, that whether we're in medical physics or clinical, that, you know, hopefully we're in the right line of work, that we find meaning in our work, which is great. And so just as a summary here, so, you know, some of the key findings that we have found so far, and the analysis is ongoing, is that our contract negotiation knowledge was improved, the comfort level for financial planning was improved, confidence in understanding wellness challenges were improved. Most of us find that our work is meaningful, which is good, and then burnout levels can fluctuate, and it's multifactorial, of course. And so just one fun photo I wanted to highlight is, you know, I've become closer friends with some of the medical physics trainees, and actually did a boxing class with Simon, one of our medical physics trainees. And so I think together, right, we can really build resilience and support each other and learn a lot. So happy to answer any questions, and we can go from there. Thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thanks, Anna. Really great presentation. So interestingly, there's a nomenclature which goes in Australia that is, I don't know if the exams in America are quite the same, but we have 2 parts of exams: your basic science part 1, your clinical part 2, and then we often refer to what you're talking about as part 3. So once you finish your exams and you start learning all the real life skills. So it's great to actually have some formal training, thought process around that. My question for you is this radiation oncology and medical physics specific, or has this got broader implications, do you think?
Yeah, so that's a great question. I think certainly broader implications, and actually what's really cool is I think that's highlighted by the books that we actually purchased for each of the trainees as resources that, right, like actually there was one on physician wellness, physician finances. The White Coat Investor actually has like a boot camp book that was recommended by Dr. Royce, and we provided that. But, you know, especially some of the topics like, you know, personal wellness, I think it's important for everyone, right? Whatever stage of life you're in, whether you're in medicine or not. And things like negotiation skills more broadly, so not necessarily contract negotiations that might be more specific to our line of work, but certainly, you know, having skills and kind of building a toolbox for addressing challenges in the workplace, you know, at home, you know, and kind of personal finance, I think is relevant for everyone. So certainly, I think there could be opportunities for, you know, collaborating with other fields of medicine, kind of maybe, you know, especially if we can kind of tie together, these are the key tenets of our curriculum to sort of help disseminate that more broadly. And of course, I think it could be adapted to whichever setting may be most appropriate.